All right, we're here with the family. Hi, family. Showing off the brand new pods, getting ready to start shipping these in pre-sale. Of course, we've got the FX and GP coming out just after this. The main thing that you're going to see here is our enclosures are much larger. We'll pull this out and show you its scale versus other options. Airspace in an enclosure is absolute key. The larger the driver, which 8-inch of course is what we're really known for, the larger the driver, the more rigid that enclosure is, and its airspace really is where the differences start compounding on each other, where the performance just goes up and up and up. I mean, you can get legitimate bass out of these speakers, but do keep in mind we're going to be doing a sub back here. If anybody tells you that you can't get bass on a ski, they just have never heard what we do. You know, we've amassed 700 reviews and growing for being the specialists of getting output, especially in the sub arena, in places other people don't think they can do it or have failed doing it. And again, that's back to airspace, speaker driver size, and enclosure rigidity, super important. So what you've got here is the Fosgate M2. On the other side, we've got the Kicker MS, which is Kicker's new amazing speaker, definitely worth checking out. We'll also have, of course, the next tier down offered in both of these. So in these two premium drivers, we'll be offering 300 watts per driver. That's where these things really shine. And then, of course, if you go to the lower models, they basically run on half the power, so you're running 300 watts total. So 600 watts in these two fronts, as they are, and then on the next step down would be 150. So the way this works, if you have pre-existing pods, of course you have a controller up in this area. So that controller, all we need to do is know in advance, and then that controller gets mounted in here. The only advantage to that controller is that you have feedback in the screen. The rub is, you've got a multi-purpose audio signal that is not top-notch. In most cases, a lot of these things will be 1.5 volts, 1.8 volt output, and of course it's not a high-quality audio out. That's not what these guys specialize in. So anytime you can, if your first priority is absolute sound quality, you go with a standalone unit like you have here. So this is one of the few 4-volt outputs. Output voltage is what the amplifier sees and amplifies. So if you're starting with 1.5 volts and you're trying to kick that signal up versus this one giving you 4, it can make a big difference. So if you're after the best sound, without a question, this is the way to go. If you absolutely have to know what song is playing next on your screen, then you just integrate the factory. But we'll give you an idea here. And speaking of integration, let me have my missus move her foot a little bit. So these are the various harnesses, depending on which system setup you go with, OEM or like I just recommended, a standalone. This is Jetworks, just awesome premium quality work. We're teaming with them on all the harnesses. They do great stuff. I'm sure you're very familiar with their reputation. They do awesome work. So depending on which configuration you go, you use a combination of a couple of these harnesses. This happens to be something for all configurations. But yeah, so basically the point here is that it keeps the skis body lines. You don't have this kind of wart looking thing that sticks out. Gives you an idea here. Here's a peek at those MS series. Just a beautiful speaker, and man, do they sound amazing. Huge tweeter. Awesome stuff. I think as the market really comes to understand what these can do, I think they're going to just smoke everything out there. Awesome speaker. So another thing is that you can put in the rod holder. I'll go ahead and shut this down and then show you what that looks like in, but the rod holder and cup holder can still slide right into place. And then we will also pull the pods out and rotate them for you so you can get an idea of their scale, because again, size absolutely matters on an 8-inch driver. That's where things just completely change. And again, rigidity, absolute key. I mean, you want a rigid enclosure versus very flimsy ABS or 3D printing. It's not how thick something is with airspace between layers. It is the density of the material. This is why, like in a speaker box for a truck, this is why we use MDF in 3/4 versus, why not 1/2 inch? Why not 3/8? Why even a material that dense? Because that's what creates the sound. That dead box, the thickness, the rigidity is everything. Of course, in an enclosure like this, you can't do 3/4 of an inch, but we're a 1/4 inch of a very dense material. We invented it, brought it to the market, including the marketing material. So I don't care if you've got 30 years experience in the business, I'm at 36. Unless you've heard these, you do not know what they do. Because again, it's something we brought to market. So a lot of differences there. And if you get a chance, check out our videos. We have over 700 reviews and counting. These are reviews in a market where people are buying $7,000 OEM systems made by $100 million a year companies. So we're talking top tier. They hear what wetbox does and they rip that $7,000 system out. So we're used to kind of competing with the best of the best, and that's where we got those reviews. Check them out. We're really excited to earn the same reputation here. We've been just loving our ski. So we're excited to have kind of the same relationships and friendships. We've made just a ton of friends through what we do, and we're really looking forward to getting on the water with you guys and showing you what we do. And you'll see the whole family out there. Say hi. That's Layla and Megan. All right, so we'll show you some other stuff. All right, so we got questions if the rod holders would still fit. Go ahead, baby, throw that on there. So with normal size speakers, fits in, no issue. Only with the largest grills. Fosgate has kind of a very large, oversized grill. You might have to kind of shave the backside as we have here. And then, of course, you've got your cup holder as well. And you're ready to go. All right, so as we said, size really, really matters. Going to have my wife here kind of show you the scale of these. So again, that's an 8-inch driver. Airspace is absolute key, and we get every ounce in any part that we make. The larger the speaker, the more important that airspace is. And then, of course, the rigidity of the closure is just as important. We'll let it get away from you. So that gives you an idea. Tons of airspace. This gives you functional bass, not just mid bass. This allows for an 8 to just really shine. They're also fully sealed, so they have batting on the inside, which also makes them kind of resonate like a larger enclosure. So something completely different happens when you have an abundance of airspace like this, coupled with an 8-inch high-performance drivers. We only use drivers from companies that have been around for 50 years, that have been competing with each other, besting each other as they go. We, of course, they're partners of ours, and so we go to the best of the speakers, and they're coupled with the best enclosures, which you're seeing here. So yeah, it gives you an idea. Again, check out our over 700 reviews. We'll talk about what these sort of combinations and these principles of physics, how they differ night and day. So check it out when you get a chance. Thanks.